Hi, I'm Rigger, this is You Are Right, and today we're continuing down the path of the Avatar. Last time we visited the Southern Air Temple, this time we're apparently meeting some warriors, so let's do it. Before we get started, if you like it, share it if you think others would like it, let me know your thoughts below and subscribe for more. We're going to keep going through these episodes week by week, so let's get into it. Alright, so for those wondering, I do legitimately record my intro before I watch the episode. Don't know why, just how I like to do things, but that was the Warriors of Kyoshi, and I can understand how a lot of people are a big fan of this show, especially when it comes to, especially as a kid's show, when it comes to things like how we're doing, gender politics sort of thing, sexism politics, that kind of thing, and also quick lessons, doing the kids show thing. If you introduce a thing at the start, get a quick lesson by it's over, but, yeah, it works. I quite like it. The writing's, it's not, Novellian or something. It's not super complex, but it works for a kid's show. It's good because it covers all your ground and it teaches the lesson, but it's also not super just Sesame Street level. There is a little bit of things go both ways, and we got that a lot in this episode. So what happens? Well, Aang says that Appa needs to rest, and I like that even though it was false this time, it's a good thing for later. If Appa does need to rest, to get them to land places along the way and give them things to do. So even though it wasn't actually legit here, I do actually like that idea, that their mount is living, so the transport's living, so it might need to rest or get injured, etc. Those are things you can use. Oh, I was going to say, this comes after we quickly see Zuko meditating, and I was going to say, I really like seeing Zuko meditating. I know that it's to build up for a joke where he says, I can take it, I'm perfectly calm, I'm meditating, whatever, and he gets bad news and everything flares, because, the joke is he can't control himself. But I do like the idea of someone like him, you still have to practice meditation and feelings and thought and, even for firebending that seems so combat orientated and seems to be used in anger a lot of the time because of it, still takes that level of self-control and, those other lessons that come through martial arts and that way of thinking. So I did like that, was cool. I will say, I've made lots of comments about this show's humor. I think they did better this time. They did a lot of the say one thing, then immediately cut to the opposite joke, which are predictable when you know they're coming, but, they're better than some of the more silly, something landed on someone's butt joke that they were doing. And the music didn't always womp womp with them. So we got two this episode. We got at least two this episode. There might be more. The two that come to mind is that one where Zuko says, I'm in control. I can take whatever you say. And then we have no idea where the Avatar is, and everything flares up, And then the other one was where Katara says that I hope being a celebrity as the Avatar doesn't go to your head, Aang. He says, of course it won't. I'm just a monk. And then cut to, of course, it going to his head. And they're simple jokes, but they're much more my style of jokes than the other ones were. Not that they're my favorite either, but pretty cool. I would call that progress in my personal book. But yes, I got sidetracked. The story is Aang tells Appa to basically act tired, and no one believes him, to go to the island of Kyoshi, where he wants to ride the giant koi. And I was going to talk about this, that I wonder if there's something behind Aang's want to go ride things. He rides Appa, and he wanted to ride the penguins, and he's mentioned all the other things he wants to ride. Is it just a childhood thing where he thinks that's cool and he gets a kick out of it, or is there some meaning behind it? I'm thinking maybe something connected to being the Avatar. He wants to, something about responsibility, or he wants to do something fun, or just see everything the world has to see and not dedicate himself to one thing or something. I don't know. I feel like there could be something there. It'd be nice if there was an undertone to that comes up later. One of those long-term builds where you don't see it straight away. It's something you do constantly throughout the show until you're almost sick of it, and then you figure out at the end that there's a deeper reason for it all, and it all becomes contextualized, that kind of thing. It'd be nice. But yes, they land at this island, and he's riding the koi, and, it's all fun in that. He's very much trying to show off to Katara. And he shows off to a few people in this because he clearly wants attention, but he definitely wants to show off to Katara, and I'm wondering if that's more, the infatuation thing, if he does want to specifically impress her more than everyone else, even though it is part of his personality to try and impress everyone, it seems. Anyway, in doing what he's doing, he awakens a giant fish that we will come to know later is the Unagi. It's a big sea serpent, actually, with a breath weapon, big water gun, and that almost gets him. He comedically escapes to land, and they get captured by some painted up people. Turns out they're a tribe. Well, I don't know if tribe's the right word. A village with a warrior clan of women there who train, and they train under the name of the last Avatar, who was Kyoshi. And they, of like everyone afraid of Fire Nation spies. We get our introduction of our gender politics type thing for this episode, which is Sokka won't accept that women took him down. He's very, women do this and men do this. Men fight, women, fix stuff, that kind of thing. And we got it earlier. He made a quip about it to Katara. But although that was your, if you're an adult like us, so that is your tip off that that's what the show is going to be about this episode, or it's going to come up. You can also file that under teasing between siblings, but yeah, well, you get it here where it's like outward to people he's just met. And that, by the way, the village is brutal. They're going to just chuck them to the fish to kill them. But Aang says he is the Avatar that went missing, the Airbender. Obviously no one believes him because he's a kid. Bam, immediately demonstrates Avatar powers. And it's another thing that I really like. I've mentioned before that I really like how casual use of airbending is. I don't think that was a big enough summation of what I like. I like that it always works for him. He doesn't struggle with it. I don't like the characters who are super badass and win everything and are just the best all the time. I find that incredibly boring. But another thing I don't like, another thing that gets annoying over time is, the hero with a great power, but they can only use it sort of when the plot demands, or they can't make it work all the time. That can get annoying. And the fact that no, hey, show them airbending, bam, immediate airbending. Like, it just works, it's just a thing he can do, and he's really good at it. That's really cool. That it's a tool in his arsenal that, you have to factor into everything he does. So, the writer should never forget what he can do, and they don't seem to have so far. It hasn't been a situation where obvious airbending would get him out of it, and he's not using it. But, I just like that it's constantly there. And as soon as he demonstrates it, they immediately switch. Like, yep, immediately you, it has to be. Which, I thought was very quick. I know there's only no airbenders left, but, I don't know, it felt very immediate, but we have a lot to get through this episode. That is my only criticism of this episode, is it feels like we did a lot of lessons and a lot of things, so it feels a bit rushed, especially the ending. It's super quick. But I do like how it was handled either way. And then we get a tale of two stories as usual. Or at least, for most TV shows, you get like a plot and a subplot, or two side-by-side plots. Our side-by-side plots are, one, Sokka has to face, his stereotypes of women and who can fight and his own place in that. And Aang has to confront not just what his popularity can do, but also how it affects other people. So, yeah. Oh, also, they snuck in a cheeky Back to the Future reference, where at the very beginning, I just wanted to put it in, that Sokka says, hey, I need my pants, because Katara was fixing them. And Aang says, pants, where we're going, we don't need pants. And he meant the ocean, but yeah, roads, where we're going, we don't need roads. Nice one, I caught it. When everyone's impressed with Aang, by the way, I finally know where that meme reaction comes from, with everyone, like the guy frothing at the mouth and collapsing. Yeah, I get the reference. I always knew it was from Avatar, but, But yeah, so Aang gets a fan club of girls who chase him around, and that, Katara is unimpressed and annoyed by it, and probably hiding some jealousy that Aang does mention, but she obviously won't face. And Aang has to, realize he's, ignoring things and not putting things where they should be, not putting important, Katara's trying to get ready for their trip, and he's wasting time messing with the girls and showing off and getting them to ride up her and things like that. But honestly, the bigger plot is the Sokka plot, where he goes and meets the women training, and initially he wants to show off and say, I want a place to train, and he talks himself up and best warrior in his village, and you girls wouldn't get it, and obviously, they goad him into a demonstration where they immediately, completely destroy him and make fun of him, make a fool out of him, and he is forced to face that. But rather than spending the whole episode with him fighting about it and moping about it or whatever, he very quickly, comes to terms with it and comes back and is humble and says, hey, please teach me. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I insulted you. I was wrong. We don't waste heaps of time getting to the lesson, and that's, I think, a good thing. Like, you could say, it was too quick, those ingrained politics don't just go away like that. Maybe for someone who's an adult, but I like someone who is a smart person in general. So a competent person recognizing when they screw up and owning up to it quickly. And I will give it to the show that they actually play this both ways a little bit, and I really appreciated it. It's not just that Sokka was wrong. He was, but he goes back and they say, oh, if you want to train, we don't train men, but, we'll make or boys, I think they say the same thing. Well, we'll make an exception if you follow our rules, and, they put him in a dress and paint him up, and, it's not, there's no, it's just to embarrass him. I don't think it's, making a statement about cross-dressing or anything, but I think it's just because it's what would embarrass him being compared to a girl, which, he had issues with. But they actually play it both ways, where I wrote in my notes that I hope he gains something from this that isn't just gender politics. I hope he does get better at fighting or something like that, and he does, very quickly. He doesn't have enough to master anything or do anything, but they start teaching him the lessons, and he learns, and he takes her down, and he impresses. He catches on quickly. And that actually feeds into him coming to terms with this quickly. He adapts pretty quick, and I was really happy to see that. And the fact that they complimented him back, like when he did, what was her name? The leader, I'm sorry. Suki. Suki said that, it was just an accident. And then he goes, admit I got you. And she does. And they have like a spar and a little session. And yeah, it was good that she got sort of humbled a little bit. And, it's not just the one person who's wrong because of their one ideal. It's both people have things to learn from each other. And, someone who does something wrong can come around to do something right. And the person who was in the right doesn't mean that they're always in the right. And they can come around on things too. And, they have they don't usually teach boys, but here's a boy who's living up to, even, exceeding their expectations. So that's also really great. So I really liked how they handled it. It wasn't just, Sokka's wrong, he's got to come to terms with being wrong, he gets proven wrong, he gets humbled, lesson learned. No, we did a lot more than that, and that's really cool. We'll jump over to the other plot where Aang is coming to terms with the fact that his celebrity is wearing off fast with his new fans. And Katara comes around and says, she was sorry and she was acting stupid. Like, she was not admitting because he was going to go put himself in danger to provoke the Unagi again to ride it. He was trying to get a rise out of her, and she pretended she didn't care. And he went to actually go do it, and then she came around and said, hold on, that's silly. Like, come out of the water before anything bad happens. And the Unagi shows up, of course. It's interesting because when it first showed up, of course, whenever you're watching a show like this, mysterious big creature or something or threat shows up at the beginning of your episode. Well, it's going to come back, right? You're either going to have to take it down or learn something from it or whatever. Or, it's going to come into play. It's not there for no reason. Usually if there's any good writing in a show, just put it in there. So I knew it was going to come back. And when a lot of what Sokka was learning was that the martial arts here is very much about using your opponent's force and weight and strength against them, Sort of, a lot of things you do in judo and that kind of thing. Which, clashed with his ideals because he's, approaching things from the side of strength. And I always thought, well, not always, I thought immediately when they did that then that would be the answer to dealing with the Unagi, that Sokka would come up with a plan using its size against it. Not in a martial arts way or anything, I didn't think he'd throw it by hand or something, but use that principle. But that didn't end up happening, but I thought that would have been a nice way to wrap that up. But it does, the other way they do it is that they don't end up killing the Unagi or anything. I don't know if this show would go to killing animals outright as a good thing. Don't know what sort of, they'll eat meat and things like that, I'm sure, but, you don't probably murder animals usually, even in a kid's show. Or at least, animals that they pay attention to, put emphasis on. So I don't know if they do that, we'll see. But either way, they didn't end up doing that. But, they provoke it, and Aang provokes the Unagi with Katara there. It goes pretty badly. He's not really equipped to combat it, and he ends up getting half drowned, and Katara rescues him. And this is where the Fire Nation shows up. I'm not exactly sure how they got word, maybe I missed it, but they got word he was on Kyoshi because they were all celebrating the airbender, and somehow word got out, I guess. Anyway, so Zuko's ship rolls into the harbor right then and there. And Aang is out, he's dying. And Katara just quickly waterbends the water out of his chest, and I really liked that. I really liked that we didn't do heaps of tension music, it wasn't a 10-minute ordeal. It was here's a serious situation, and I have the solution right here, and does it, and it just works, and that's cool. It's cool that their powers can be used like that in what is legitimately a life-threatening situation, and it's just solved. And, she's not a master waterbender, but I actually wanted to mention, I really liked that when she's, being brooding a little bit and trying not to rise to Aang's provocations, she is practicing waterbending. And it's the exact technique we see her use later to like swirl something in a jug and like pull it up in a stream. And she does that to him, pulling it out of his chest and up his throat. So that's really cool, and they just brush past it. No big recovery, bam, he's fine. I wouldn't recommend that on medical level, but, for the show, it works perfectly. The only thing I'll mention is Zuko turning up feels a little tacked on. Like, I was like, when he arrived, I'm like, do we have time for all this? Like, okay. But he comes in, and I do like that they ride rhinos. That's pretty cool. So, everything Fire Nation is so strong. Like, it's all strength-based and strength imagery. So, rhinos are the perfect match. And so they walk into the town, and they start, where's the Avatar? And the village jumps to life. They go, have a village. And the warriors, the women, they don't think they have a name. They're just called the Warriors of Kyoshi. I don't like just calling them the women, but the warriors, they jump in to start the fight and combat all the Fire Nation guys. And Sokka goes with them. They get the call, hey, Fire Nation's here. And, so, there's a joke where someone goes, come on, girls. And he goes, I'm not screw it. And goes with them. And that's, great. And he just runs into battle because, he's still a brave guy. It's still something I admire about his character. Like, oh, there's bad guys here? Okay, let's go. Like, life-threatening situation? Let's do it. Yeah, so they start fighting. And it was good because most of the warriors of Kyoshi were better than the Fire Nation goons, like they were getting the best of them for the most part, but even 3 of them didn't get the best of Zuko, and that's really good. You didn't just put them on a pedestal because they're like, like the focus of the episode, or because, you're trying to make a point that women can be as strong as men in these things, so the women, of course, definitely win here. No, they are in their hometown, they have advantage against most of the goons rolling in, who probably weren't expecting this, but Zuko's on another level, and he does beat them. He does win against the people attacking him, and he should, and that's great because it keeps him on that upper echelon. We need him to stay the big threat, and we've seen his skills before. He has legitimate skills. He's not just all talk. It's another subtle way of actually doing these gender politics right. Like, you're not just saying one side is definitely stronger than the other, and it's the side you don't, you aren't classically taught to think so, and they always win in that case. It's just he's better. He's better than most people, and he should stay that way because we need him to be the combatant. And that doesn't mean that the women aren't also really strong, because they show how good they are too. So it does a good job of continuing that theme and being not just fair with it, but realistic with it. So yeah, it's really cool. So I do actually like this little lesson that Aang gets, is that he was flaunting his the Avatar around everywhere and being so caught up in the celebrity of it, and then he has to he sees everything burning around him, and that he pushes Zuko through a building, which looks really cool, but then he realizes the damage he did to that building. He takes flight and glides and sees the town burning and people running into huts, and half of those huts are on fire, so he sees the destruction he's brought to town. And very sadly, the statue of Kyoshi, the Avatar, was on fire, one of his past lives, and also, their own person, and it doesn't completely burn away or anything, but it's quite a sad image. I was like, that was really powerful to throw in there, great job. And he comes to Katara and says, yeah, look, I've been selfish, this was stupid, look what, these people are suffering because of me. And they make a really informed, smart decision, which is we should run. Because, you don't want that. You get a lot of shows and a lot of cliche stuff where it's heroes don't run away, we shouldn't run. That's, and it's such a childish look at things, but no, very smart. We should run because Zuko will follow us. We'll take the threat away from here. That's not cowardice, that's intelligence, that's helping these people. We know they will follow us. And they execute that plan. They go to leave. And, they do start to follow them. And just to get one last jab in, Aang jumps from Appa, lands in the water, provokes the Unagi, gets it to blast its water breath over the town, puts out a lot of the fires, drenches the Fire Nation guys, and they fly off. And there's a really sweet moment here where, Katara gives Aang a big hug, and he really, relaxes. He got, more than just the attention he wanted from people in general, it was like, acceptance isn't the right word. It was like gratification that, it wasn't his little tricks he was trying to impress her with the whole time. It was doing something right and big, and it did impress her, and she showed that. And before they left, I will definitely mention there was a very sweet moment where where Sokka and Suki were behind a hut hiding because they were trying to help and they were outmatched. And he says, sorry I called you a girl, I should have treated you like a warrior. And she gives him a kiss on the cheek, like a proper kiss, and says, I am a warrior and a girl. Like, these things aren't mutually exclusive. And, she clearly gained respect for him and possibly even feelings of him. It was, like I said, it was very quick. This is where some of that Fire Nation stuff felt tacked on. I would have liked to see some more development there. It's Disney level fast of like, oh my god, there's affection there already. But you know what? I'm fine with it for this kind of thing. There are so many kid shows where the idea of even a kiss on the cheek is just, can't go there at all. What affection? Feelings? Can't do that. Can't do romance, that's just no. And even though they're leaving, it was a really nice, sweet little moment, and I like that Sokka being the comedic relief sort of character, this was his episode almost, very quickly, and he got development, he got better at combat, he got a better understanding for the way of the world, and he got his ideals challenged, and he came around to them, and he had an effect on others around him positively as well, not just them correcting his, bad takes. And there was even a hint of romance at the end, and then they all leave and do the right thing. That was really great. So I really like this episode. If I'm honest, I'm waiting for a bad one, because these keep topping each other. I like it more and more. Oh, and Sokka gets another win, he gets the best line of the episode again. It's early on in the episode where the town is celebrating the Avatar being back and they put out a spread of food for everyone, and Sokka's being mopey because he got his butt kicked by a bunch of girls and making excuses about it and not eating. They mention, you're always hungry, like get some food, and he's being mopey, and he gets provoked by Katara, and he's like, oh, I'll show them, blah blah blah, how they do that to me, and he starts to walk away, and he comes back going, I won't let them do that, snatches some food and walks away, and just off screen you hear him go, this is tasty. Like, very nice, very cute little joke that, the little one-liner out of nowhere, that's much more my humor. I appreciated it. So Sokka wins for a great episode, great development, gets the best line. He's your clear winner, but I did really like everyone this episode, and I quite liked Aang. He's someone said that they found him endearing. I don't find him endearing, but I like the way he played this episode. I like the way his character worked this episode. He fell into some cliches that were pretty obvious, like the, oh, it went to my head and I don't see what's going on around me, but they dealt with it well. It was presented pretty well, and the show dealt with it pretty well. And because it was, like I said, even though it felt rushed, because it was jam-packed, it didn't linger too long on any of the beats that we've all seen a million times, and therefore it didn't waste our time. So, very positive episode. I really like it. Let's keep this train rolling. But that'll come next week, because for now, we're done here. So, YouTube things, ding. But until next time, remember, don't take everything so seriously and don't read into everything as metaphor. It's okay to enjoy things. Because if you did read into everything too much, you might have some weird questions about why the first episode to show any signs of romance between two characters also ended with a giant serpent spewing liquids over a town. Anyway, until next time, my name is Riggo, hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope I did alright.